Hi, my name is Ryan Hallett. I'm a Welsh gay mechanical engineer, currently living in Manchester, and I work for WSP Parsons Brinkerhoff within the energy sector. Previously, I was a mechanical engineer, and most recently, I've moved into business development and sales. I never actually went to university. I did an advanced modern apprenticeship with RWE Empower. I was based on a power station, a large 2,000 megawatt power station down in South Wales. At that time, I was still in the closet, so to speak, but I think people generally knew. Being an apprentice, we all went to the same college, which at first was in Doncaster and then in Rotherham. Great places, great experiences, and a lot of the people who I went to college with, great guys, great guys and girls. We were a small year, but overall, across the 4 years, we were a big group. Some fantastic experiences. I think one of the highlights of my last year, and actually the last week that I was there, and by this time I was out to my friends who I was on the course with, was another engineer, a friend, colleague of mine, coming out to me on the very last night, and that was unexpected, but a great feeling to kind of get that sense that you weren't alone. My experiences have changed quite a lot over the years. At first I was a mechanical fitter on a power station, and I've gradually moved up into more professional engineering roles, more away from the tools and the work face, and more sat behind a desk, which has its own benefits, but completely different. There's obviously been a gradual shift within opinions of LGBT people around the UK and within the world over the last decade or so, and that's gradually improving and evolving with time. Within the engineering environment, that's been the same. Just I think a couple of years ago, now probably 3 years ago, we set up an LGBT network within Parsons Brinkerhoff, and that's evolved now as the company's evolved and merged with WSP. So we now have a firm LGBT network, which kind of campaigns for the rights within engineering, and I suppose that awareness and that publicity has helped promote LGBT issues within the engineering workplace. I think for me, being LGBT, there was, maybe it was in my mind, but an element of questioning by the people about my ability. So I was always trying to push myself and prove myself to people, whether or not that was in my head or it was a general perception that I was getting from people. But the people that I have worked with, and I do work with now at WSP Parsons Brinkerhoff, are fantastic. We get along great. I wouldn't call them colleagues, I'd call them friends. I think the most positive experience was one which I experienced a couple of months back within the Manchester office, within WSP PB. There's a great young bunch of people, and we're all very close. We've been together now for nearly 4 years, and our careers have moved forward all together, and we're a very close bunch. Recently we went on a little vacation to Budapest, and I, only being the only gay one in the group, found it very relaxed, and almost one of these kind of Facebook moments where you want to kind of say to the world, I'm in a club, I'm making friends, so to speak, with a guy, and my other friends are making friends with a girl, and it was just this kind of surreal moment where there was no difference. We were all the same, all on one level. I think that was one of the best moments of my career. Yeah. I think the biggest piece of advice that I'd give to LGBT individuals entering the engineering profession would be just be yourself. Don't try and hide behind a mask. be who you are, and yeah, don't hide away, don't shy away, but equally understand that people are different, and that's the biggest piece of advice I'd give. Engineering is a great profession. I've worked on fantastic projects across the world, Saudi Arabia, Middle East, Israel. It's provided me with not just a fantastic career, but also a fantastic life and travel experiences, which all young people want today. To combine those two elements, within a job, within a career, and actually get paid for them, for me is one of the greatest advantages within engineering. And also, as an engineer, I have quite a large geeky side of me, so it keeps me kind of interested, and you have different challenges and problems which you have to solve every day. So besides the point that you can work with some great individuals and great professionals, and actually contribute to the world around us and the built environment. For me, it's one of the best professions you can think of entering.
Hi, my name is Gyandeep. I'm gay. I work for Arcadis Consulting. I work as a systems engineer. I joined Scott Wilson, which is now AECOM, back in 2009, and nobody gets baffled when you say you have a boyfriend or you are doing this with your boyfriend over the weekend when you are having a conversation about weekends or Christmas or anything like that. It's not really a big deal anymore. I think engineering is about your drive to do things. Being LGBT should not deter you from going into engineering. Engineering is about your fascination with how things work, and it's about making things and building things. So if you are scientific, if you like physics, if you like maths, if you like how things work, engineering is a profession for everyone. It doesn't matter if you are LGBT or straight. It should not deter you from being an engineer.
Hello, I'm Peter Gracie. I'm a 51-year-old gay engineer. I work for Bechtel, an American company with worldwide contracts in engineering and construction. I'm currently working with Network Rail on the surface elements of the Crossrail programme, and I'm also the Secretary of Inter-Engineering. In the early years of my training in the Royal Navy, I didn't really understand me. And by the time I did, I was in a career that I enjoyed, and it would have been illegal for me to be there if I'd admitted I was gay, so I didn't. I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to keep my job, so I did what was expected of me. I didn't talk about my sexuality, and I just got on with things. Not the best approach. It took me quite a while, and it was actually after I'd left the Navy. The Navy had changed its rules by then, but I eventually worked myself out, but couldn't then work out, how do I tell people I was married, I had 3 kids, I had a career, what was going to happen if I came out? I've got 2 sets of colleagues, my colleagues in my engineering job at work, and also my colleagues in the Royal Navy Reserve. And to be honest, everybody, almost everybody, was completely positive about it. I didn't get any negative comments initially, which is what I was expecting. I got lots of positive support, and it really wasn't an issue. I was working for Transport for London at the time, and I'm gay, I'm here. And we get on and we do a professional job. My advice to other LGBT engineers, it would be quite simple: be yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to come out, you don't have to go around waving a rainbow flag, but you need to be comfortable with being you. Because if you're comfortable with being you, whatever that means to you, you can then give more to what you do. If you don't have to worry about covering your tracks, about not talking about what you did at the weekend, about not discussing what the gender of your partner is, then it's not distracting you from the job that you're doing. You can give more, you can be a better team member and deliver better for the profession, for yourself and for the company you work for. I definitely recommend engineering to anyone. At whatever level you come into engineering, I think it's a very rewarding profession, and I don't think in any of the companies I've worked for it makes a difference. It's about doing the job, it's about being professional, and I get a lot out of what I do in engineering and what I've done over the last 30, 40 years. Yeah, be you and enjoy it.
I'm Rob Ridley. I'm a gay engineer working in the Army. As an engineer in the Army, I lead a small deployable design team that we can take anywhere in the world to conduct construction, engineering design and consultancy work for other government departments as well as ourselves. And as such, we are really highly focused on inclusive leadership as an organisation. We find that as a small team, if you are excluding an element of that team, it is less able to do its job. And in some of the extreme environments that we work, that can potentially have life-threatening consequences. And so the Army and engineering in the Army has certainly come to terms with being a more inclusive organisation. As an engineer, engineering is great, and I'd absolutely recommend engineering as a profession to everybody, particularly LGBT people. It's really great to work in a profession where you know that your work has a genuine impact on people's lives. And as we're perfectly well aware now that more diverse teams work better than teams full of clones, I think it's important for the whole community that engineering teams are diverse. And so absolutely LGBT people should be working in engineering.
Hi, I'm Diego. I am a structural engineer. I am gay and I work for WSP/PP. But being there a couple of years into it, I thought there was no point in really hiding who I was. So I started to get more confident, and I finally came out to my parents. And once you come out to the people you care the most about, then just everything else becomes really easy. I think I've been quite lucky in my life because I've never experienced any kind of discrimination or abuse. However, coming out is something that we have to do on a daily basis, and in the engineering world it's always a bit daunting. When do you do it? How do you do it? I remember as a good experience when I joined WSP, the first time I went to a pub on a Friday and I was talking to my colleagues, and they asked the usual questions. Where do you live? Who do you live with? And the answer is, well, I live with my boyfriend. And I was expecting for their reactions or anything in their expression, and it was just blank, as in it meant absolutely nothing. And I felt really, really pleased that I could just talk about and be myself completely confidently, and no one even really cared about it. I think the most difficult thing I found is trying to find a balance between being openly gay and banter. When do you draw the line? How much banter is it really fun, and when does it become offensive? Always be yourself, because I believe that you can only be your best if you are yourself. But also it's important to be ourselves and be out there and inspiring others to be themselves. Be out there, expose yourself, come out, don't be afraid. I would absolutely recommend engineering. Engineering is such a rewarding degree, it's a rewarding career. The built environment is just physical evidence of your achievements, and you can just walk outside and find one of the buildings you designed or one of the projects you were involved in and be really proud about what you do. Being Peruvian, South American, I grew up in a very conservative environment. And I was always a bit scared of what my parents would say, what my grandparents would say, and what my peers would say. But I was actually very happily surprised. Everyone was very accepting, and I think in the end, conservative or not, it is love what actually matters in the end. Moving to the UK was an amazing experience, and it's been an amazing experience for the last 7 years. Living in London, which is such a diverse city, has opened my mind opened my eyes a lot more, and I'm exposed here to a lot more different cultures than I was before, and I think it's been fantastic.
I'm Simon Clennell-Jones. I'm a gay man working for a company called Delta Simons. We're an environmental consultancy. We work in the areas of land contamination, site investigation, geotechnics, remediation and civil and earthworks projects. I've had really positive experiences of being LGBT in the engineering profession. I've really enjoyed working with a number of firms and never had any issues, having been completely out since I first started work. Helped out by a friend who was at my first job who'd also known me at university. And actually it's a great place to work, it's a really good industry. There are a few challenges at times, but otherwise it's great. So some of the challenges I have faced is my job now involves quite a bit of networking, quite a bit of meeting new people, and sometimes I find myself in situations where I get asked questions that normally would be easy for other people to answer. So I'm often asked about my wife and kids, and being gay, I don't have a wife or kids currently, and this sometimes means that I sometimes phrase my words, I pick and choose on how I respond to people, simply because what I'm there to do is build relationships. But otherwise, every time I have come out to people, be it clients or other people, I've had a really positive experience. So I think the most positive experience I've had is just really enjoying the job. I love solving problems, and the industry gives you a lot of opportunities to go out there, tackle difficult problems, find different ways of coming up with solutions. And it's been really positive working with people and finding that actually, from what I thought might be a more staid and difficult industry, actually people are really friendly and people enjoy working with people. I think the advice I'd give to anyone entering or looking to enter the profession who is LGBT is think about who you want to be, think about what you want to do, and understand that your career will go where you want it to go if you put the effort and energy in. There's no barriers being LGBT within the industry. We need to build profile, we need to be out there a bit more, but you can go where you want to go as long as you put the energy and effort in. I definitely recommend engineering to LGBT people. It might seem like a bit of a staid career from some angles, but actually a lot of it's about meeting people, talking to people, interacting with people. But you can also go down a technical route. You can become quite a technical professional. You can also be quite commercial. There's a lot of opportunities and a lot of avenues to actually take your career forward. So I definitely recommend it. I'm much more positive about difference of opinions and finding ways of solving problems in new ways. So I think actually it's definitely going in the right direction. Networking is very important in this career, and for me, coming out has allowed me to become who I want to be and made me a lot more honest when I network and work with people. So think about who you want to be, but actually get out there and realise that talking to people is very important. Networks are where you're going to get your next job from and where you're going to move your career on through.
I'm Timothy Crump. I'm an engineering doctorate student at the University of Manchester, sponsored by EDF Energy. I'm gay and I'm male. Whilst at university, the experiences I had were mainly positive. I studied engineering physics, so I had the ability to drop in and out of multiple courses. And from the range of courses that I went to there and the people I met, the objective always was the project at hand. And so it doesn't matter what orientation you were, it didn't matter what you felt as an individual, it was all about the team effort to the overall goal in the end. And that's what I think is so wonderful about doing a STEM subject, is actually the focus is not on the individual, it's on the task at hand. While in engineering, it's very important to show who you are, I think, because we are by nature quiet, reserved people, and I think it's really important to stand up and show who you are. The diversity within engineering is vast, not necessarily just within sexuality. It brings weird and wonderful people, weird and wonderful ideas, and I think it's very important that people show that diversity and represent what the actual company branding really is. And actually, I think it's actually helped me become better at the job I do.
My name is Paul Loughlin-Hyde. I'm a senior risk engineer for Risk Tech Solutions. I'm male and identify as gay. My experience at university were actually quite positive. I went to university in Northern Ireland, so that was, in general, I was quite reserved. I was quite, I wouldn't say I was in the closet, I definitely identified as gay. But I didn't really want other people to know too much about my own personal life, so I just generally kept to myself. And I probably didn't get involved in as many activities as I should have. But again, that was just me being a bit more introverted. I've travelled overseas with my job to quite a few countries, and I've worked in Holland, I've worked in New Zealand, Australia, and at times in the Middle East. And I find that experiencing other cultures has been a good thing. I've had a few incidences where there's been not so positive being gay, but generally on the whole I think people are quite accepting of gay people in engineering. I think the most positive experience has been bringing my husband Justin along to events and people actually liking him more than they like me, that it's just all perfectly normal and no one really cares. And that's I've worked in my last several companies in different countries, and it's all been quite the same. And it's just the older I'm getting, I'm finding the world is a lot more accepting, and I don't know whether that's if I'm coming out of my shell or if the world is changing. I think it's a bit of both, or the fact that I don't really care what people think anymore. But I think, yeah, the more exposure of the LGBT community, the more accepting people are in all professions, and there's a bigger push to, no one really cares anymore in engineering if you're gay, I don't think, to a large degree, and I think that's quite a positive thing. I guess the best advice I could give to someone is just be yourself. I don't, anytime, I do a lot of, I work for a small consultancy, so I do a lot of work in other firms, and I wouldn't say I have a big coming out parade, but I definitely don't hide who I am or who my significant other is, and I just say it as if I was straight and had a wife or girlfriend. So if someone says, oh, because obviously I'm wearing a wedding ring, they say, oh, who's your wife? And I say, oh, actually, it's my husband, and that's generally it. I just be open and honest. If you've got a passion for maths, engineering, science, I would say yes, do it. The opportunities to travel are really good. I've experienced that. The range of jobs that you can get involved in are vast. You can go from pharmaceuticals to railway, oil and gas, renewables, and you get paid really well. So it's not. I think the impression that people have are hard hats, coveralls, and working on site with a lot of guys, which can be the case in some areas, but that's not. I don't think that's the case anymore. I wouldn't discourage anyone from entering engineering. I think it's quite a welcoming profession.